Well, let me tell you something, brother.
Snort, snort, snort.
Hogan. Drip.
Snort, snort.
I got the drip. Go. Tonight on the late stream, it is Street Fighter 6. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I have a big announcement to make. You ready for this? One of my new resolutions for 2024 is that when I play Street Fighter 6, I am not going to get toxic against my opponents.
Wow, Phil, how stunning and brave of you. Finally, at the age of 41 years old, you've decided that you're not going to be as toxic and throwing these huge baby fits every time that you get dominated in Street Fighter. You know, better late than never, I guess. You know, I think that it says something. Not only how seriously you actually take games, but also how toxic you can really be if one of your New Year's resolutions have to be that you won't insult players online anymore. Just from where I'm standing, that's just not a good look for a 41-year-old man. By now, I would have thought you would have outgrown throwing these huge temper tantrums every single time something didn't go your way in a video game.
That's going to be tough, because Street Fighter 6 has kind of been the stream where I can let loose and I can be like over the top ridiculously stupid in the stuff that I say on purpose. It's a way for me to kind of vent, okay? And I like venting when I play Street Fighter 6. I do. Like, some of the things I say, I know people are like, oh, it's ridiculous, that's offensive. Yeah, but it's funny, and that was the point, is I was trying to, like, get that angst out of me when I play Street Fighter. Do you see?
Well, I hate to tell you, but if people are saying that it's offensive and ridiculous, they probably aren't also thinking that it was funny. So your defense being that it was funny, it doesn't mean anything to them because humor is subjective. But why do you not have healthier ways to vent, DSP? Why do you not have other hobbies that you enjoy doing to release some of that frustration that you get from your real life? Why is insulting people online over a fighting game your best way to release some of that tension? And it would be one thing if it was just playing a fighting game to relieve some of that tension. I get that. Relaxing and playing some video games is 100% a good hobby to have if it helps you relax. But having to be able to insult people in order for you to enjoy the game is kind of a red flag, brother. It just doesn't sound very DS positive to me. And it's very weird to hear an old ass man like DSP say that he has to get some of the angst out of him, as if he's some sort of teenager or something. Like, those are the only people that I associate angst with, really. But DSP continues to prove time and time again that he really never grew out of that mentality. He's always gonna be an angsty kid. He just happens to LARP as an adult most of the time.
But a lot of people say things like, you're too toxic, why are you insulting the players, why are you saying these things? So here's the thing, I'm not going to stop being honest about the game. If it drops my move, I'm going to call it out, alright? But what I'm going to try to make an honest effort to do tonight and moving forward in Street Fighter 6 is to not insult the other player, okay?
So in case you need a pig to English translation, that just means that he's going to shift all of the insults that he usually hurls at the other player to the game instead. So every time that he would yell at the opposing player for using scrub tactics or pattern play or abusing lag or anything like that, he's just going to yell at the game instead and say that Capcom doesn't know what they're doing and it's all Tony Cannon's fault. Because it's not toxic if you levy it at the game instead of other players. Sound good? Sounds good to me. And by the way, categories.
I'll insult the game. Wow, why is it possible that Cammy has this simpleton combo that's so easy to do, but I'm not going to insult the player for using it?
Yeah, that's pretty much exactly what I just said. Thanks for proving my point, DSP.
In reality, all right, there's different kinds of players out there, okay? There's some people who actively like to challenge themselves all the time. That's me. That's why when you see me play a fighting game, I pick the oddball characters. I pick the Zangiefs, the Dalsims, the Blankas, the Lilies. You don't see me picking the top tier. Have I picked a single top tier in Street Fighter 6 and rolled with it and got away with the steamrolling, you know, combos and stuff? No.
No, I've never seen you pick a top tier character and get away with the steamrolling because you're not actually good at the game and you fumble the controls even when you use a top tier character. And I genuinely think that that is why you don't use top tier characters, because you use it as an excuse all of the time. By using lower tier characters, you know that you always have that excuse in your back pocket, so it's never your fault. It's always the tiers at the end of the day. Also incredibly ironic that DSP is Mr. I want to challenge myself. I don't want the game to be easy, but he needs every single game to handhold him. And the games that don't handhold him, his chat has to take up the mantle instead. Yeah, you really want to challenge yourself, but you won't challenge yourself to actually read during the tutorial so you understand the mechanics of other games.
I don't really like that. I never really have. I'm the kind of guy that I like to challenge myself with more unique style of gameplay. And I feel like if I just pick the top tier and I got easy wins, that's not fun to me. I'm serious. Like, I actually would not have fun just picking the top tier. This has been since back in the day, playing games like, you know, Marvel vs. Capcom series. I would never pick Strider. Strider Hiryu was the best character in Marvel vs. Capcom 1. I never picked him. I felt he was too overpowered. Street Fighter 3 and Street Fighter 3 Second Impact, I would never pick Akuma or Ibuki. They were too overpowered. I would always pick other characters. So that's kind of how I've always been. Not always, because, you know, in Super Turbo, I definitely pick some top tiers. But then again, I pick DJ, and he's not a top tier, you see? So that's just me. All right.
Yes, DSP has been purposefully picking characters who were worse off than other characters just so that he always had an excuse in his back pocket as to why he's bad at the game. I mean, that's really what it is at the core. It has nothing to do with actually wanting to challenge himself. It has everything to do with the fact that he wants to play characters that are worse off simply so that when he loses, he can shirk the blame. It's worked like that his entire life. He's always been the same person. He's never changed. And no matter how much he claims that he has, especially recently, that's just not the case.
But here's the thing. Should I fault others for just rolling with the stuff that's in the game? No, I shouldn't. And the thing is, I know that. I'm not dumb.
I beg to differ on that last part, but go on.
I just like venting at everything when I play Street Fighter. Do you understand? Like, that is the game that I can just say, fuck the game, fuck the players, fuck everything, fuck, it's good to let that out.
I agree with you, DSP. I really do. I do think that it's good to get that out. I think it's good to let out some of that frustration. But the problem is you need to be doing it in a way that isn't as toxic, in a way that doesn't make you look as awful as this does. Coming across like a salty bitch every time you play Street Fighter 6 is just not a good look. It makes you look like a bigger man baby than you already are. And you can sit here and say that it's to vent and it helps you release some frustration. But when you're actually being toxic to some of the people in your own chat when they are trying to help you, hashtag rest in peace, Sambuca, it's gone too far and you really need to reassess how you're behaving on your stream.
But then sometimes I get too angry and I get too upset and my adrenaline gets too high, right? And I just get too into it. And, you get a bad reputation. Now, here's the truth. I don't care about my reputation because I'm not in the competitive Street Fighter community. Everybody knows that. I don't care about the FGC. I have absolutely no aspirations to go to any tournaments or anything like that.
Well, your reputation goes far beyond whether or not you're in the competitive Street Fighter community or the FGC in general. Your reputation is also here on YouTube, where people also think that you're acting like a salty bitch all the time. Where your chat has to walk on eggshells while you play Street Fighter 6 because heaven forbid DSP look over at his chat while he's at his saltiest and just start banning people for trying to help. How you're perceived online really has nothing to do with competitive Street Fighter 6 at all, other than you are at your saltiest when you're playing it. The FGC doesn't really care about you. They don't take you seriously. The fact that you even brought it up kind of shows how delusional you are, that self-importance that you have. Because like I said, it has nothing to do with them and everything to do with how you are perceived here on YouTube, the site that you post on. And the site that you have been posting on for the past, 13 years now, DSP? This is where you're supposed to be winning people over. This is where you're supposed to be gathering an audience. And acting the way that you've been acting when you play Street Fighter 6 is definitely not the way.
Although if I went to a tournament, I probably would not suck, but I also probably wouldn't do great. I'd probably like middle of the pack, maybe win a few matches and then end up losing before I get anywhere near the finals, right?
I'm no Street Fighter expert, and I'm definitely no Street Fighter 6 expert, but from based on what I've heard other people say about your gameplay, DSP, that is wishful thinking on your end. And I've definitely seen you get dominated by random people online. Did you not just get 9-0'd the other day? Did you not get perfected by POP? I mean, he literally threw you 4 times in a row. Do you really think that that shit is gonna slide IRL? And that's no disrespect to Pop, obviously. But of course, I'm leaving out the fact that that's all due to lag, dude. That's why he got messed up as bad as he did. It was the game's fault. The online connections are so bad. That's why everybody else who plays the exact same game that DSP is playing doesn't have these issues.
But that's the thing, like, a lot of people in the FGC, they just take, like, personal offense. I've actually seen people post up, like, on Twitter, oh my god, I can't believe the things that DSP says when he plays Street Fighter. It's like, now wait a minute. Hold on a second here. Number one, I said it on my stream. I didn't go to a public area, right? I didn't post this up on social media. I didn't call out this player personally in their content or anywhere else, even in the FGC. I literally just said silly things on my own fucking stream. But the FGC actually takes such offense at the things that I say that they regularly quote me and repost up memes about the things I say on my streams. It's like, grow a pair of fucking testicles.
No, DSP, the person who needs to man up is you. They're not greatly offended by the things that you say. They're laughing at you. They are mocking you because you are getting angry about a game that you are bad at and it's funny. The things that you say are honestly ridiculous. I've never heard anybody in my life say that a better connection leads to worse gameplay. That just doesn't make any sense. You are the only person in history. So no, they're not offended. They don't take you seriously. They are pointing and laughing at the circus clown. And I love that he says, oh, I didn't go somewhere publicly or even on their streams. I was on my own stream when I was talking all that shit. shit. It doesn't matter where you said the shit, DSP, it got back to them. They heard what you said. Everybody heard what you said. And that, at the end of the day, is all that matters. And if you want to take it one step further, we can just do a little example here. No, this isn't a sandwich analogy, I'm so sorry. But if you wanted to call people hateful slurs just because you didn't do it in public and you did it on your own stream doesn't make it okay. Like I said, this is an example. It's not actually something he did this time, but it's the same logic. And DSP is clearly the one who cares more about what they say because they're pointing and laughing, and he's remembering this so that he can bring it up later. He's internalizing this. This is a grudge that he's going to continue to hold on to for an extended period of time while everybody else just forgets about that thing they were laughing at.
Seriously, if you have an issue about anything I've ever said on one of my own fighting game streams and you can't deal with it, you shouldn't ever play a fighting game.
So if you have an issue with anything that DSP has ever said while he was playing a fighting game, then you just shouldn't be allowed to play fighting games, I guess. That's how the new rules work, according to DSP. Of course, personally, if you ask me, I don't think that the things that you listen to, don't listen to, care about, or don't care about actually affect whether or not you're allowed to play fighting games to begin with. But DSP just loves to tell people what they should and shouldn't be allowed to do based off of a myriad of other factors that are completely unrelated at all times. And if any of that kind of sounded like a word salad, I apologize, but it has to be that way when you're trying to cover all of the bases that DSP is at the same time.
Man, try being around back in the day when I used to play in arcades and all you heard was this kind of shit the time you were playing the match. You were trying to play a fucking match and you have a guy next to you talking shit to you, calling you the F word. Yes, saying shit like that, you little F, you're never gonna win, you blah blah. There used to be a guy who used to walk up and while you were playing, he would literally thrust his crotch into the cabinet as you were trying to play. He was like fucking the cabinet next to you and you gotta play this guy.
Well, honestly, that just sounds incredibly cringe, DSP. I wouldn't even want to be in the same room with a fella like that. But what DSP is failing to realize here is that the entire point of continuing your life is to continue to grow and be better and behave better. Yes, back in the day, the COD lobbies used to be absolutely heinous, and they were fun at the time, and people today definitely couldn't hang in those lobbies. But they probably really shouldn't have to. A lot of the things that were said in those COD lobbies were unjustified. They were hurtful just to be hurtful. Not that anybody was genuinely hurt most of the time, but that doesn't actually excuse the behavior. You grow and learn as a person, and you should continue to grow and learn as a person even when you're DSP's age. You should always be growing and learning. Just strive to be better, DSP. That's all this really is about. I don't know why other people should be barred from fighting games according to you just because they don't necessarily agree with some of the things that you're saying. Because they hold themselves to a higher standard and expect the people around them to also hold themselves to a higher standard.
Yes, this is real stuff that used to happen in arcades back in the day. But today, everyone's so insulated and so fucking protected that God forbid that someone on their own private fucking stream, not even publicly saying it to you, says something that you're so offended by it, right?
I guess saying things behind somebody's back or behind closed doors is supposed to automatically make it better as well. Not quite sure how that one works. I'd probably say that's honestly worse. But what do I know? Like I said, I don't even play Street Fighter 6.
Yeah, I'm talking to you, Scrub Quotes, and everyone else who quotes me out there. I mean, you couldn't be more of a bitch to be so worried about what someone says on their own private stream. Seriously, it's ridiculous.
But why does quoting people automatically make you a bitch? I just don't understand that. Like I said, these people are pointing and laughing at you. It has nothing to do with how cowardly they are. If you take offense to people quoting the things that you say, maybe you shouldn't be saying them. Just kind of a rule to live by, DSP. If you don't want to be quoted saying it, just don't say it.
But the truth of the matter is that we're in 2023. And over time, things change, correct? So it's a new year, right? And it's time for us to maybe turn over a new leaf. So here's the thing. If I play Street Fighter and I'm getting upset, I will blame the game. Absolutely. I will yell at the netcode. I will. But I'm going to make an active effort to not insult the player.
Again, how stunning and brave of you, DSP. You're really taking one for the team on this one, aren't you? What a hero.
Because I feel like unless that player actively did something to insult me, like if they teabag me, yeah, then they deserve it, right? And if someone does do shit like that, then absolutely I'm going to be upset and I'm probably going to yell at the player or whatever, okay?
So now we're giving reasons why we can justify being a toxic asshole to players online. Right now he's giving the example of teabagging, which is absolutely a little disrespectful, but not something that a 41-year-old man should really be worrying themselves about or getting frustrated over. But by giving this example, he's really just opening the way for a bunch of other excuses to come out as to why he's being toxic to people online again. Because pretty soon he's going to be talking about, oh, they're using pattern play on purpose and mocking me. Oh, they just threw 100 times and that's their fault. They were doing that that to be disrespectful. And that's really just no different from him talking shit about other players just because he's bad, which is what he was doing before.
But I'm not going to say to the player, oh, how dare you pick Cammy and Mash Jack. That's the game. The game is just unbalanced in that way that the top tiers can get away with simpleton combos, simpleton gameplay, and it's not the player's fault that they made the game that way. If I want to blame Capcom, I'll blame Capcom, but I shouldn't be insulting the players, okay? I really shouldn't. If anything, it should be that I have to find a way around it. Now, here's the problem with the characters that I use. It's incredibly hard to get around it. Plus, I don't play enough.
Yeah, DSP, that was what was always supposed to happen. You were never supposed to be toxic to other players for just playing the game how they play the game with their character. You were always supposed to just strive and be better than them. You were always supposed to counter what they were doing and be the better player. Throwing the little hissy fits that you've been doing was never the actual answer, and I don't know why you thought that it was. There's just something about the way that he said that he just has to be better and find a way around it. It's like it's a new concept for him that he just now realized he's supposed to just be a better player. You'd think that he just discovered competitive video games, but he's been playing them his entire life.
If I'm playing once or twice a week tops, and not even with the same characters, I'm not going to learn the strategies to stop. I played how many matches of Dalsim? I still don't know how to stop that Cammy stuff. I have no idea.
And that's a failure on your end. You've fought how many campies playing as Dalsim now? You've had how many days in between your sessions of Street Fighter that you absolutely could have looked it up? And if you really didn't want to look it up because you wanted to challenge yourself, you absolutely could have taken the characters into the lab and figured it out yourself. But you can't be bothered to do that because that's too much like work. That requires you actually putting forth the effort to be better at something. And you don't want to do that. You don't actually want to be better. You just want to whine, bitch, moan, and complain like you always do. That's one of the parts about DSP that irks other people the most, is that he just wants to whine and complain. He doesn't actually want to better any situation that he's in, whether it be online or in video games or even in real life. He just wants to play the victim and get free money. That's all he's interested in.
Right? It's probably his worst matchup in the game. So that's what I'm going to do tonight when we play Street Fighter 6 at 6:45 p.m. Pacific time. It's Blanca. All right? It is Blanca gameplay, and I'm going to do my absolute best to not freak out. All right? Not go crazy. Not get angry at the player. I might freak out at the game and the netcode and the gameplay itself, but I'm not going to insult the player.
So it's pretty much going to be the same level of toxicity. It's just not going to be aimed at a direct player, but instead just in general. Awesome. What a real improvement you've made here, DSP. Everybody's going to love this.
All right, I'm going to do my best to not insult the players. Let's see if I can stick to that and be more mature about it in 2024, okay? We'll find out.
I have a sneaking suspicion that this isn't going to go very well for very long.
Here's the thing, too. When I play Tekken, guys, just so you know, I'm going to get spanked in Tekken nonstop. I'm not good at the game. I'm going to be starting, like, from the bottom when it comes to Tekken, all right? And basically, the way I see it is I'm going to take my licks, but hopefully I'll get really, really good at the game if I practice. And if I don't, that's okay, too.
Yeah, if his ambition is to get really, really good in Tekken 8 just by getting his ass beat and playing the game a bunch, I don't think that that's going to work out for him. He just stated that he's not actually good at Tekken. I mean, look no further than his Tekken 7 gameplay. But given how little effort DSP is actually willing to put into anything, he's not going to get good at Tekken 8. I promise you that.
I'm not expecting to do well in Tekken. If I do well in Tekken, I'd be shocked. All right? But in Street Fighter, I put so much time and effort into it already. Yeah, it is frustrating when you get to the point where I've been playing 7 months and I'm still beaten by basic stuff by top tiers. It's like, oh my goodness. So we'll see how it goes tonight.
But if you were as familiar with the basics as you think that you are, DSP, you would be able to stop those high-tier basics. The problem is that your skill level is just not where you think that it's at. His narcissism really affects every single aspect of his life, which means that he cannot get an accurate depiction of his skill level or anything else that he does. And in reality, that's just really sad if it were anybody but DSP.
Scrub quotes. Check out my stream tonight. I'm sure you'll find tons of stuff to quote that won't be me insulting other players this time around, okay? Unbelievable.
And of course, DSP has to call out scrub quotes one last time before he gets off the topic, because obviously he's so not bothered by the things that they have to say about him or the things that they quote from him. But if you'll allow me a double feature on this one to make up for the very short one that was yesterday, we'll go ahead and take a look at the aftermath of the very Street Fighter 6 stream that he was alluding to in the last clip. So of course, another big shout out to Snort Hogan for the clip in this one. I really appreciate it, brother. Thank you, thank you. And you know you're getting hit with the double intro for this one. It is the return of Snort Hogan after all.
Well, let me tell you something, brother.
Snort, snort, snort,
Hogan. Drip.
snort, snort.
I got the drip. Go. Then let's talk about last night's Street Fighter 6 stream, because this really was a mixed bag for me. I mean, if you've ever heard of the term mixed bag, this is the definition of that term.
He really said if you've ever heard of a mixed bag, like he doesn't say that everything is a mixed bag all of the time. This is just another example of DSP expecting all of his viewers to know about every single thing that he's ever said because they're super long-time fans, but then treating them like they're brand new every single day. But just a heads up, I'm going to go ahead and speed up his audio a little bit, just because he's going to be explaining the whole New Year's resolution thing that we just went over.
So, first half of the stream, okay, I made a commitment that this new year, in Street Fighter particularly, but hopefully in all fighting games, all right, I'm going to make an effort to not be toxic towards other players. Now, that doesn't mean I'm not going to shout out the netcode when it's not working. It doesn't mean I'm not going to say, oh, I dropped my input when I actually did it. But I'm not going to be toxic towards the other players and say, oh, these people are awful and, you know, insult them and stuff like that. Like, I feel like that is going too far. And I really hammed it up last year playing Street Fighter 6. I went over the top a lot of times, saying ridiculous things. The thing is, when I play Street Fighter 6, I feel like I'm letting loose. This is my one stream where I can be silly and irreverent and over the top. Very similar to how I used to be back in the day. That's how my Street Fighter 4 coverage was, you know, 13, 14 years ago. It was the same thing.
Why is this the only game that you can be silly, irreverent, and over the top about, DSP? If you wanted to behave like that in all of your content, you absolutely could. It is your content after all. It might even be a good idea to just dial it up a little bit for your content and then just dial the Street Fighter stuff back. Because I've seen your gameplay. It's the most boring gameplay I've ever seen on the planet. And this is coming from somebody who does actually like to watch gameplay from other people. But if you ham it up to be more entertaining, you can't describe yourself as the realest person on the internet anymore or whatever. And now that I'm really thinking about it, you can't do that now anyways. Not only because you're constantly lying all of the time and have been caught red-handed on multiple occasions, but because you just said right here that you were kind of playing into it because you thought it was fun. That's not real, DSP. I thought you were the realest person on the internet.
And people really like that, but it's now 2024, and basically people are like fed up with that, and they're like, oh my god, it's just not, it shouldn't be allowed, and it shouldn't be allowed. It's my own stream. I can say whatever I want, you know, within reason, but it's not like I'm going to public forums. I'm not going to someone else's stream. I'm not in a tournament yelling at someone during competitive play. I'm just doing it on my own stream for my own audience.
Why does he think that his streams are some sort of private area? He does know that those are broadcast publicly, right? Like everybody can go to his page and see those? Of course they don't have to go there if they don't want to. But he's sitting here acting like he said it behind closed doors, a private conversation between a couple of friends. When that's just not the case, he broadcasted it publicly to the entire internet if they want to see it.
But admittedly, I will say, after the feedback and reactions I've gotten, I think I need to tone it down, all right? So I tried last night, and basically, it worked, I would say. I did not really get toxic to anyone last night playing Street Fighter 6.
I didn't actually watch the stream, so if you saw it, please let me know whether or not that's true, but for right now, we're going to be rolling with the fact that DSP said he wasn't toxic, and that's all I have to go off of. So that's how we're moving.
The first hour when I was playing with Blanco, we went back to rank, by the way. It was all ranked play. So all the master points were on the line.
Oh no, not all those master points that actually don't mean anything in the grand scheme of things because you can't be demoted from master rank. Whatever will you do if you lose all of them other than keep playing in master rank and get them back inevitably?
The whole first hour, I did really well. I actually gained almost 100 ranking points in that first hour. I went on an 8+ win streak. And I was doing good. I had some really close matchups, and admittedly, some of those matchups I was basically getting very lucky, you know, with some of the wins that I had. And I admitted it every time. I was like, dude, that was just luck. I can't believe I won that one and stuff like that. But I was doing really well. I was on a streak, right?
Man, I almost wish we had a clip of that because I've never heard DSP say anything was just luck when it came to him winning. He always touts like he knew exactly what was going on in every facet. He's just a better player than them, dude. He knew what their next move was going to be and he was going to counter it because he's just the best. I mean, he even does that when he's not winning. When he's actually getting decimated and he's explaining how the lag is messing him up, he can tell you all of the moves that he was trying to do because he knew what they were going to do and he was prepared for it. It just dropped his moves, dude.
And then all of a sudden in hour 2, it's like I'm playing a different game. Every match, and this is not me exaggerating, every single match, a critical input would drop that I definitely input on my joystick, and nothing would come out in the game.
And right on cue, he comes in with the excuses that I was just describing. I guess shout out the critical input that was dropping all of the time. Big ups for that. I'm sure it made for a very entertaining stream.
There was a couple times I did a move, 0 reaction. My character had no button input at all. You could hear me click, and the character just stood there like this, doing nothing. It's like, so obviously it's not me. You can argue that sometimes it's me making it up. But when you obviously see me hitting buttons and nothing's happening, there's a problem with this game. right?
Well, yeah, that could be. It could also be a problem with the joystick that you've absolutely pummeled into oblivion before. If you need a prime example of that, I have a short DSP raging out at Street Fighter 6 and pummeling his joystick. That's not exactly what it's called, but it's something like that. And that's definitely not the first or only time that he's ever done that before. I don't genuinely think that there's anything wrong with the joystick or the game. I do think it's always DSP's fault, because I can't believe him when he says that it's anything but. It's just the boy who cried wolf situation. DSP blames everything else all of the time, so naturally I'm just going to think that he's lying all of the time, because it's been proven time and time again that he was. If I was a better channel, I would go grab some clips from Dirge Gaming. He's the guy that shows all of DSP's inputs via replay. It's actually really informative and interesting, and shows you that DSP is constantly mashing buttons that he claims he isn't. But like I said, that's if I were a better channel, which I'm not. I'm sorry. I apologize. I strive to be better. I really do. But please check out Dirge Gaming if you're really that interested in it.
And this was happening frequently. And again, as I keep telling you guys, basically with Street Fighter 6, with the way that this rollback netcode works, it favors people who play pattern play and mash buttons. It just does.
It absolutely doesn't. You don't know what you're talking about, but go ahead, spew your lies. I'm here for it. Everybody's here for it, because everybody already knows the truth, that you're completely delusional about this as well. You have no idea how rollback netcode works, and you have a vendetta against the people that made it, and I guess that's totally fine. There's nothing that I can do about it. You just sound like an insane person.
Because the way rollback netcode works, it guesses what's happening. It predicts what's going to happen. And if you're someone who presses jab, 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 it just assumes you're pressing jab again, and it'll give you that over someone who did the move to counter the jab. It's not supposed to. And if the connections were better, it wouldn't. But in a case where the connection isn't great, it'll just assume you pressed jab 100th time. And because of that, it's just not fair to the players, honestly. It makes it not competitive, you know?
Yet again, just gotta cap this off by saying none of that is true. DSP is just making that shit up to make him feel better and stroke his own ego. I'm definitely no expert in the topic, and again, if you want to look into it yourself, feel free. There's definitely tons of videos out there that are super informative and can give you the correct information. But having seen some of those videos myself, I can tell you that everything that DSP just said is just not true at all.
And it really is frustrating for someone who's maybe not playing as much. You know, I'm not playing as much as most people who play that game. I play, what, once a week, twice a week tops. So I'm not on the top of my game at all times. I know what I'm doing. I see what they're doing. Here comes a pattern. Here comes a trick. Here comes a mix-up. I know how to beat it. Move doesn't come out. That's it. Game over.
But I'm just not convinced that that actually has anything to do with the game, DSP, and not just your execution. And if it is just your execution, that's fine. You just have to accept that and quit blaming everything else. You're getting old. Your reflexes are not as quick as they used to be, and definitely aren't as quick as other people's. And there's no shame in that, really, unless you continuously blame it on everything but yourself. You need to live in the real world, the reality that everybody else inhabits but you at this point.
And this happens all the time. You know, I don't pick top tiers in Street Fighter 6. I just don't like them in that game. I have picked top tiers previously, but I'm the kind of guy that when I play fighting games, I don't really enjoy picking the overpowered characters. I like picking a mid or low tier. It makes it more fun to me. That's just me. I've always been like that. So playing this game, it's like first hour, I'm having a great time. I'm winning close matches. Everyone's enjoying. No toxicity. Second hour, it's just like dropped input, dropped input, dropped input, dropped input, lose, 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 lose. So the first hour, I gain almost 100 points. The second hour, I lose all those points. I'm right back down as if I had never played the game.
Yeah, it's almost like it's a ranked setting or something. And you might be exactly where you deserve to be ranked, really low master rank. Because you're better than all of the scrubs, obviously. You made it to master rank, you put in the time to get there, even if you had to grind it out. But you don't deserve to rock with the big dogs. You just don't understand all of the nuances to the game like they do. You don't know the mashups as well as they do. And whatever lag there is, you just don't know how to compensate for it as much as they do. But of course, his excuse for that would just be that they're on PC, they don't have the same dropped inputs or lag. They don't actually have the same experience I do. I'm totally unique. I'm different. I'm not like those other girls.
And it's like, so where's the enjoyment? Honestly, if you're playing a game, right? And it's a 50-50 chance if the game even works when you play it, right? See, here's the difference. Imagine you're playing, imagine you're playing Baldur's Gate 3, and 50% of the time that you go to play it, it boots. And you play it and you have a fun time. And the other half of the time you go to play it, the game refuses to boot. So you just can't play it. You're frustrated. You have to keep hitting reload, 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 reload to get it to work. That's what it feels like playing Street Fighter 6.
Well, I'll be 100% honest with you, and this is a little bit of me coming out. As somebody who pretty much has to mod every single game that they play at this point, because that's where I find most of my fun, that is my experience. Pretty much every time I launch a game, it's because I'm putting new mods in it, and I want to see not only do they work, but what do they do? I get what he's saying. It's frustrating when a game doesn't work like it's supposed to, but this analogy that he's constructed here just isn't very good. But that's only because I am who I am, and I love modding video games, and I think that's more fun than actually playing video games most most of the time. And another little fun fact about me, recently I just had to fresh install my RimWorld because I decimated it with mods and it quit working. Very cool.
Half my night, things go well, I'm having a good time, everything's working. The other half of the night, the game's just not working right. So there's no fun to that in a competitive setting. It's torture.
If that's how you really feel about the game, DSP, you really just need to quit playing it. It is that simple. You can just decide to not play it anymore. You don't have to be playing a fighting game at all times. There's tons of other games that you probably should have been playing throughout the year that you could go and play, but you've continuously played Street Fighter 6 since it came out, and I find it incredibly obnoxious. I was actually really hyped the other day when you said that that Dalsum session of yours was going to be the very last one, and then you decided that after that one you were going to go back to playing Blanca instead.
Okay? So, basically the way I see it is this. I don't want to spend so much time on this game when it has degraded the way it has. Because originally it wasn't like this. You know, when you're in the early stages or even the first few months of any game, people are still establishing the meta. They haven't found the online abusive strategies that are insanely safe to get away with because of the way the netcode is designed. And it's more fun. There's more variety. There's more stuff to do in the game. And it feels more fair because of that. Now we've reached to the point in Street Fighter 6, where it's just everyone's picking their mains, everyone's doing the same mash patterns, right? The same jab mix-up throws, the same drive rush and almost unstoppable offense. And unless you can get that perfect opportunity to do the move to stop it, you will lose.
What he just described is a competitive environment. That's actually what he just described. It's nothing other than that. He's just complaining because he refuses to adapt and take advantage of the things that he should be taking advantage of just like everybody else is. Because when it comes to competition, and this is for any competition, this is not exclusive to video games, your goal is to win. You should be winning by pretty much any means necessary. They say that if you're not trying to cheat, you're not trying to win for a reason. And if you're not trying to play that competitively, it's fine. It doesn't actually matter. You don't have to take it that seriously. But DSP is the one that is getting upset because he's not winning. If he wants to have that competitive nature, then he just needs to adapt and take advantage. That's all there is to it. If he doesn't, it's his fault, and he really doesn't have any room to bitch about it.
And with the connections as they are, you just can't do it. Why do you think there are so few people using the lower tiers in this game? The few that actually do well, you got to give credit, right? These upper echelon people using the Dalsims and the Lilies and things, they got to deserve some big credit because those characters are so hard to use, and to be consistent online, that's got to be applauded, you know? I don't know how they do it. I don't know how they can put up with that frustration when they're doing stuff and stuff is dropping. How you can put up with that, because it drives me bonkers. It really pisses me off.
Well, I would just venture to say, DSP, that their moves aren't dropping nearly as often as yours are because their execution is just tighter. They spend multiple hours getting good with these characters in the labs and doing combos again and again and again until their timing is absolutely flawless and their execution is also just flawless. You just wouldn't know anything about that, though.
So I became to a determination at the end of last night. I was like, not that it was a bad stream, because it really wasn't. But basically, I feel I shouldn't spend as much time on this game in the next 3 weeks, because remember, Tekken 8 comes out on the 26th. All right, and when Tekken 8 comes out, I'm going to be playing that, covering it big time. We're going to be doing the story. We're going to be doing various characters in training mode, going online, whatever other modes there are. I'm going to be giving it full coverage like I do new fighting games.
Well, hopefully you give it a fuller coverage than you did with MK1. That was a very short-lived experience that I don't think I'll ever forget because you were just awful. You spent an exorbitant amount of money to buy it on PS5 early, not play it early, and you got an entire extra stick so you could play that in Street Fighter 6. Just all around goofy and a waste of money.
And I will make an effort to try to learn it. Now, I'm not saying I'm going to get great at it because I don't think I will. I'm just being honest with you guys. I'm not a Tekken player like I am a Street Fighter player. Street Fighter, I have over 2 decades, almost 3 decades of knowledge under my belt that I can say I have that kind of installed base of practice and experience that I can apply to any Street Fighter game, so I can go in at a ground level that's kind of higher than most people because of that level of experience.
So even after decades of experience playing Street Fighter, which according to him puts him at a higher ground floor than other people just starting, he was still that bad at the game? That's kind of crazy to me to spend that much time doing something and still being that bad at it. But hey, I guess some people just aren't destined to be good at some things. I'm sure that some people would look at my FPS gameplay and say that I'm not as good as I should be for as long as I've been playing FPSs as well. And to those people, I would have to say, dude, I'm out of practice. I don't play as much as other people. It was the lag. I'm getting old. Sound good? Sounds good to me. And by the way, categories.
With Tekken, I mean, I played the originals, and then I dropped them around Tekken 4, and I haven't really played Tekken seriously since. So you're talking an entire 10, 15 years, if not more, of games of Tekken that I never played competitively and I missed out on, and tons of gameplay mechanics, like the parries and the crazy juggles and the OTG ground bounces and the wall bounce mechanics. I don't get any of it.
I mean, I really failed to see what you can't understand about, you know, parries or the wall bounces or the ground bounces or the juggling. All of it seems pretty self-explanatory to me. And I'm not some sort of Tekken aficionado either. I really just enjoyed playing Tekken 7 when it came out. I had a lot of fun. It's probably my favorite fighting game, tied with MK9.
The last one, Tekken 7, I ate a super. Remember, they have a new move. It's not called a super, but it basically is a super move. Those were a new addition. I literally ate super. 9 times out of 10, someone did it. It would just hit me because I'm never expecting that in Tekken. I'm like, there's supers in Tekken? Since when?
And to me, this just kind of demonstrates DSP's mental capacity. Just because a feature wasn't in a prior game, DSP automatically forgets that it exists in the very game that he's playing. I wonder if he felt this way back in MK9 when they introduced X-ray moves for the first time. And supers aren't really a foreign concept in fighting games. Pretty much every fighting game at this point has some sort of super. That's the part that baffles me the most, is this isn't a new concept. This isn't something that he has to wrap his head around for the first time. It's just like every other game. You can either build the meter to get your super, or you can do some smaller moves and get, you know, more damage during your combos with your enhanced specials or whatever.
Well, it was the new mechanic, and I got hit by it every single time. So yeah, it drove me bonkers, and is that more centered? Remember, I messed with my camera and screwed it. That is more centered. I messed with my camera and I screwed it up, but now I fixed it, but now we got to get it centered properly. I think that even looks even better, right? It looks more centered. Okay. So anyway, I don't think I'm going to be great at Tekken at first. Maybe in time if I give it the time. But with 3 weeks left before Tekken 8, let's not go crazy with fighting games. Let's play Street Fighter once a week on Friday nights. Okay, to give it a good send-off, you know, maybe some Blanca, probably go some more Dalsim. Maybe I'll bring back Honda for one stream, we'll see.
So the whole conclusion to this clip really is that instead of playing Street Fighter 6 twice a week until Tekken 8 comes out, he's just going to be playing it once a week instead. So instead of 4 more Street Fighter 6 streams, he's only going to be doing 2. That was really worth our time, obviously, because it's going to make the world of difference whether or not those extra 2 streams really existed.
But let's just give it a proper send-off, and then after that, I will go back to Street Fighter. When there's a new DLC character, I'll go back and check them out. When they do their seasonal updates, because they do seasonal updates where there's all new content in the game, and I'd like to go back to those as well.
God, I really hope he doesn't stick to that. I hope he just goes back for the DLC characters, hates them because he's bad at the game, and then he moves on within a couple of days. I really don't want to keep going back to Street Fighter 6. Don't get me wrong, the rage is funny, I'll give you that, but I just can't do those streams, man. They suck so bad.
So I'm not giving up on Street Fighter, it's just I don't want to put that amount of time into it when really the fun has left the game. Really, unless I'm going to play this game insanely hardcore, I'm going to buy a gaming PC to reduce my input lag and the amount of input drops, and I'm going to be playing this game 5-6 times a week. I'm never going to get better at it because that's the level it's at now. You know, this is what happens with any fighting game. Typically, you're 7-8 months in. That's what it's become. It's basically just for the hardcore competitive players. Everyone else has dropped it. So
yeah, DSP, that's typically the way the video games go. I don't know how you're new to the club, but welcome. I love stomping all over new players in a video game just as much as everybody else. But I'm not going to sit over here and whine and cry and lament over the fact that I can't do that anymore because they've all gone away because they were bad at the game and they got stomped by people like me.
That's the point we're at. So Friday Night Fights will continue, but more fighting game coverage coming at the end of this month with Tekken. Okay, Tekken 8. Good stuff. Again, this camera seems off. It's driving me nuts. Let's try it like that. Does that look better? I don't know. We'll see. It seems like it's like I put it up and it dips a little bit. Well, we'll see what happens here. Okay, so that's my plans for fighting games after last night.
Real talk for a second, why couldn't he fix his camera before he was actually on stream? I'm baffled by this. I know for a fact that he gets the same OBS preview that everybody else does when they stream. And it's the same preview that's going on during the stream. So why all of a sudden in the middle of the stream did he think that it was necessary to start jerking the camera around and trying to fix it? Did he not look at it or notice it before the stream actually started? Does he actually put that little prep time into the stream before it goes live? I mean, of course the answer is yes. He doesn't actually look at the shit before he hits the go live button. He's probably just picking his nose and wiping it on his jammies. But I will never find his lack of preparation not surprising, because I just couldn't live like that. But that's going to do it for today's video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the Street Fighter 6 double feature. Again, big up Snort Hogan for both the clips in this one. I really appreciate it, brother. Thank you so much, and I'm so happy that you're back. Hopefully you enjoyed your time off. Of course, big ups everybody who watched the video, especially if you made it this far. A special big ups and shout out to all of my members. I really appreciate it. Thank you all so much. Again, really hope that you guys are enjoying the slightly earlier content, as that's all I really offer at this point. Still, it means the world to me. Thank you so much. Hopefully I'll catch all of you guys in the next video, but until then, make sure that you check out other detractor channels and dive deeper into that. Snort Tech.